Government has backed the decision the Road Traffic Directorate has made to ban all vehicles without number plates from using the country's roads. Government spokesperson Gospel Kazako told NBC in an interview, saying no one will be spared in this arrangement.
This is part of fixing a broken system that used to allow vehicles without number plate. Those days are gone. No vehicle is allowed to be on the roads of Malawi without a number plate. What it means then is you never see again vehicles written Nyekwewani. You never see those. You never see a vehicle written Ana Bambo or Ana Dad Follow and stuff like that. That will never happen again. And let me also take this opportunity to say that this is across the board, regardless of who you are, whether in government or private sector. When you're on the roads of Malawi, you must have a vehicle with a number plate. Anything less than that, that's being on the side of the law, which is wrong, and the law will be with you. In fact, the police and all road traffic officers have been told under no any circumstances that they have to make sure that nobody is on the roads of Malawi without a number plate. We need to bring order in this country. We need to bring sanity in this country. We need to recalibrate and fix the broken system. And this is part of the great work that the president is doing to make sure that there is sanity and there is order, and we are following the law.
The United States of America Embassy in Lilongwe celebrated the Juneteenth, a day that commemorates the end of slavery in the U.S., calling on everyone to help end some injustices restricting people's civil rights across the world. Thomas Psiata reports.
Speaking during the celebrations, which brought together people from various sectors of life, Ambassador David Young said the ending of slavery did not do away with racism, injustices and evils that limit people's civil rights. He therefore called for concerted efforts to fight such injustices if Juneteenth is going to be relevant.
Juneteenth is a new American holiday that was just established last year to commemorate the end of the horrific institution of slavery in the United States. And it reminds us that we have to work hard to fight injustice anywhere it is. And it's when we work against injustice, we take one step forward, sometimes a step back, but we keep persistent, realizing that the fight for human freedom is an ongoing struggle that all people need to be a part of around the world.
Taking her turn, Minister of Foreign Affairs Nancy Tembo agreed there are a number of injustices that are happening in the country. She singled out a case where a Chinese national was reported to have been abusing children and women in Lilongwe. On this, she called for restraint as officials are handling the issue.
I want to plead for restraint, that let's move on. We should not condone this, but we should not act in a manner that then makes us be at the same level with this individual. We condemn it in the strongest term, and if he's apprehended, he should face the long arm of the law. But let's move on. We have many challenges in this country that together we need to address.
Last year, President Joe Biden of the United States of America signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act, which establishes a holiday that commemorates the end of slavery in the U.S. Thomas Piada, NBC, Lilongwe.
Malawi and the Irish government have signed a grant agreement of over 20 billion kwacha to support the implementation of social cash transfer programs in Cheo and Balaka. Minister of Finance Sostin Gwengwe and the Irish ambassador to Malawi, Seamus Ogardi, signed the agreement in Lilongwe. Maisoje Kazula has compiled this report.
Speaking during the signing ceremony in Lilongwe, Ambassador Oglade said his government is committed to continue assisting Malawi in various development programs.
This program is showing to have a real impact on the lives of people who are poor and very poor, not just in Malawi but in other countries where we support social cash transfer. As the Honourable Minister pointed out, not just does it have an impact directly on the lives of the beneficiaries, but it also puts money into local communities. That money circulates around, people invest it. So we're very, very happy that this is a model to address poverty, and one that we will continue to work with the government of Malawi on looking at it, seeing how it maybe can be expanded, because I think there's other areas of potential for using social cash transfer, linking it to programs around nutrition.
In his remarks, Minister of Finance Sostene Gwengwe said the support by the Irish government signifies the cordial working relationship between the two countries. He said the support will go a long way in addressing the many challenges the rural masses in Malawi face. Gwengwe said government recognizes that social protection is a powerful tool in the fight against poverty and is a cross-cutting in nature.
And this is very significant, and I do continue benefiting the people of Balaka, the people of Ncheu, because like we've always been saying, when we're looking at development, let's look at inclusive development which leaves no one behind. So there will be people that needs to be captured in a safety net, and an initiative like the one extended to the Malawi government from the people of the Republic of Ireland is such one initiative which will benefit the vulnerable people, those that need to be handheld going forward.
Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Gender, Rosaline Makumula, said social cash transfer programs are improving the lives of people in rural areas. She said her ministry will make sure the money goes towards the intended beneficiaries.
This is very commendable indeed, and we are very grateful for this, because it is going to impact a lot of people in Balaka and Cheu who, as I said, already said, are poor, and this is going to help them in uplifting their livelihoods.
Over 20 billion kwacha grant is an increase from the 13 billion kwacha the Irish government pumped into the program in the past years. At least 24,000 households in Balaka and Ncheu districts are expected to benefit from the program, a rise from 8,000 households. Maesoji Kadzula, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Now, it has emerged that most parents that have children with cerebral palsy keep them in their homes without proper care. Board of Trustees for Way Ministries, an organization that supports children, Mary Beth Sexton, disclosed this during a training in Blantyre. Edith Kaira has more in this report.
Caroline Lombola is a mother of a 3-year-old girl. Just like any woman, she expected to have a normal child after conceiving, but that was not the case. Martha, not her real name, was born with a condition known as cerebral palsy, a brain disorder that caused lifelong health issues. It, among others, affects the movement, posture, and balance of the child. Lombola said taking care of Martha has not been easy. She said sometimes it is hard to determine what she wants.
As a mother, you would want your child to be playing around, you would want them to go to school, you would want them to do a lot of things, but then they can't do that. And when feeding them, it's a challenge. When bathing them, when doing almost everything, it's a challenge.
Despite having many children with such condition, research conducted by Way Ministries, an organization that supports children, shows that some parents are facing challenges to able to raise such children. The organization is therefore training parents that have children with cerebral palsy on how best they can take care of them. Caesar Kondowe is executive director for the organization and says they want to create awareness so that parents are able to support their children to live a normal life. He said the unfortunate part is that most parents keep their children at home with no proper care.
The problem is very big because through our organization we did a research, found out that a majority of the parents in Malawi, they are keeping these children at home because they say they can't do anything because of the various range of disability. So our target, that's why, is to make sure that we bring this awareness to the parents first so that they should know how to support these children, that they can be able to do as normal as another person.
On her part, Mary Beth Sexton, Board of Trustees for the organization, also said parents that have children with cerebral palsy are struggling to raise them. She said the biggest challenge is that most of such children are isolated, hence the need to train the parents about the condition.
A lot of times these children are isolated and their parents are isolated. They don't know where to get help. They don't even know how to get support with some of the resources that they need. Many children who have cerebral palsy, sometimes they're in families that are also lacking resources. They're impoverished and they don't know where to get therapy that could be free. Like here at Feed the Children Rehab and Assessment Center, therapy is free.
Way Ministry is a Christian ministry committed to developing and providing excellency in education to children. The organization became operational in the country in 2009. Edith Gaira, MBC, Blantyre.
You're watching MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. President Chakwera committed to creating a private sector that facilitates the economic growth of the country. The United States of America Embassy calls for an end of slavery and some injustices restricting people's civil rights across the world. And the elderly and stakeholders call on government to expedite the tabling and subsequent passing of the Elderly Persons Bill.
The mother of all channels in the country, NBC, uncovers TV2.
Welcome back. A call has gone out to government to expedite the tabling and subsequent passing of the Elderly Persons Bill. This comes in the wake of continued attacks and inhuman treatment being meted out on the elderly in the country. We have a report. Elderly persons in Malawi continue to feel the heat as they are beaten at will, suspected of witchcraft, among others. However, there seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel, as legislation designed to protect the elderly is yet to be tabled in Parliament 5 years since it was drafted. This, according to Ignatius Mpaha, is very worrisome.
The elderly are facing numerous challenges in this country, ranging from attacks and lack of care for them. Government should do something to ensure that we are protected. People in this country treat the elderly as if they are from another continent.
Andrew Kavala is an activist for elderly persons' rights, and he says Malawi is still volatile for the aged. He says the bill is long overdue and should be fast-tracked in the interest of the elderly.
When you look at the statistics, you would see that I think we are still living in an environment which is not safer for older men and older women. Last year alone, we had 21 older men and older women who were killed on different witchcraft accusations, and not to talk about the other violence, abuse, discrimination. I think there were over 800 cases. This year alone, since January, we have lost 8 older men and older women across the country. And the records showing we have about 23 older men and older women who have been victimized in different ways. Every day we are seeing on social media a case or two on abuse. So we are saying at the end of the day, Malawi still remains quite very volatile. The situation is not very conducive for those who are 60 years and above.
In her response, Secretary for Gender Roslyn Makumula says the bill is currently with the Ministry of Justice and should proceed to the Cabinet Committee for further review.
We understand the concern that is coming out there that the Older Persons Bill has delayed. The fact of the matter is the bill is not as if it is not being handled right now. The draft bill was sent to Ministry of Justice for their further review, and we know they are working on it. After that, they will take it to the next stages, which involves being discussed at the Cabinet Committee.
Statistics show that in the past year alone, close to 8,000 elderly persons faced various forms of abuse. Kumbukani Piri, NBC News, Blantyre. Hence the directive. We have this report.
No single economy in the world was ever built by getting free things, but by producing valuable things. Now, what that means, in principle, is that we must accept the fact that our economy will never be cured until we start to build that economy on the foundation of a thriving and expanding private sector. Because the private sector is the one sector that operates on productivity. The practice and discipline are producing things of value in the marketplace. For this reason, I'm launching these private sector labs to bring leaders of government and captains of industry together to answer one question. What must we change in order to make Malawi a place where businesses and investments that desire to produce valuable things find it easy to expand, export, and employ?
The Ministry of Health, through Global Fund, has asked non-government organizations in the country to properly use COVID-19 grants provided by the Global Fund. Program Manager for Global Fund in the Ministry of Health, Doreen Sanjay, made the remarks in Lilongwe during the handover ceremony of personal protective equipment. More in this report.
In 2020, the Global Fund issued a call for countries to apply for COVID-19 support. Malawi applied for a grant and was awarded about 111 billion kwacha, which was received by the Ministry of Health. The ministry allocated 1 billion kwacha to Action Aid Malawi to procure PPEs and enablers in order to distribute to other local organizations working at community level. Speaking during the handover of persons protective equipment, Program Manager for Global Fund in the Ministry of Health, Doreen Sanjay, says the ministry is disbursing the funds to local non-governmental organizations in order to help in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic in the country. Sanjay further urged NGOs working at community level to properly use the COVID-19 grants.
The COVID grant that Malawi received is very unique because it's a grant that has a lot of infrastructure and systems strengthening support. Apart from the community component that I've talked about with Action Aid, there's also a component for mass civic education.
Program Manager for Action Aid Malawi, Dalito Kupanga, said the donation will help volunteers that work at community level supporting TB, HIV, malaria as well as COVID-19. Kupanga further assured government to use the donation for the intended purposes.
We are working with a number of structures, both at district as well as at community level. So for community-based organizations, we've got networks of people living with HIV, we have got networks for TB volunteers. These are the people that are supporting the structures that the Minister of Health has and which our sub-recipients have. And we'll make sure that as the items are going through the communities, these people are part of the process of distributing the items.
The 1 billion kwacha donation included bicycles, masks, hand sanitizers, among others, and will be distributed to the Family Planning Association of Malawi, FIPAM, Manit Plus, SRHR Africa Trust, SAT, Episcopal Conference of Malawi, and Creative Center for Community Mobilization, CRECOM.
United Civil Servants SACCO General Manager Francis Waliwa says a partnership between the media and private sector is crucial in disseminating transformative information to the public. Waliwa was speaking when the company officials saw off 4 MBC journalists who have left the country for Kenya after being recognized by the SACCO for their outstanding business reporting. Olive Piri has filed this report, read by Eunice Ajovu.
In an effort to promote business reporting and increase participation, United Civil Servants SACCO ran a promotion to reward journalists who were going to cover their activities professionally. Over 6 media houses, including the Malawi Broadcasting Corporation, took part in the competition. According to the general manager for United Civil Servants SACCO, his organization held the competition at the end of its 2017-2021 strategic plans to attract more members to join the SACCO movement. Through some programs and documentaries that made people aware of the presence of United Civil Servants SACCO, 4 journalists from MBC have been awarded a trip to Kenya. They are expected to learn more about business and economic reporting and the importance of savings and credit cooperative to national development.
Congratulations to MBC has won this trip, and we are taking them there this week so that they bring back the story to motivate us all Malawians that we have in our hands that which can transform our own lives and the lives and the economy of our country.
Speaking at Kamuzu International Airport, one of the awardees, Alefa Kasongo, said the trip will help in enhancing her business reporting skills.
As the media, we need to know diverse information. We need to interact with our international counterparts in as far as reporting issues of business and economy is concerned. So this is to the media advantage, because we are going to learn how best we can report issues of economy, issues of business. You know, savings is a crucial element in as far as issues of even developing the country is concerned.
Alefa Kasongo and other 3 awardees, Chimwemwe Piri, Love Moshawa and Peter Magawa, are going to conduct a 3-day visit to SACCOs in Kenya.
And now to sports. The Malawi national netball team are the champions of the Kosana Tri-Nation Netball Series. The Queens have been crowned champions yesterday night after beating Namibia 49-36. The Queens have finished the 5-day tournament at the sports complex, having won all their 6 games, beating both Zimbabwe and Namibia thrice each. Minister of Sports Richard Chimwendo Banda graced the final showdown. And that item concludes this edition of MBC News. A look at our top stories. President Chakwera committed to creating a private sector that facilitates the economic growth of the country. The United States of America Embassy calls for an end of slavery and some injustices restricting people's civil rights across the world. And the elderly and stakeholders call on government to expedite the tabling and subsequent passing of the Elderly Persons Bill. My name is Kumbukani Piri. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.
Chimanyiso chapadera chakufumira kupwa Malawi Environmental Protection Authority.